background noise.
Okay. Let's get back in business.
Okay, I can start and then I will pass the word to Philip. So we can start.
Okay.
So hello everybody, welcome to another Reps call. And we are back after a couple of weeks off, but I hope everyone has time to rest and recuperate from the 10 years anniversary, which was very intense and where we had lots and lots and lots and lots of meetings. So today, let me say hello to everyone who is in the room. Hello to Paul, Andy, FDR Cat, Liv, Harshil, Leia, Constantina, Angel, let's see who else, Ashil, and I think that's everyone. So hello everyone. Let's see if there is someone in the Matrix room. No. So welcome everyone. Today we have Phil, who is going to present one of his projects, more specifically WebOpTeams project that he made using WebTeams and A-Frame. So there are, if you go on the Etherpad, you can see some links, and I think you will also be happy to answer any question you have after the presentation. So I'm going to pass the word to Phil now, and let's go on with the presentation.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Francesca. So I'm going to share a video. That's something previously recorded, and it's about digital twin concept, and I implemented this in using open source software. So let me share this previously recorded material, and you'll confirm if there is. So here, so let's get started. Correct. And let me press play now.
Phil, is there supposed to be sound because there is no sound?
Okay, so let me do some voiceover on it. There is some sound, but it's not shared in Zoom. So yeah, I'm introducing myself, and I want to explain about what are digital twins. So there is a different definition, but the simplest one is that we have a digital replica of a physical entity, and something that's to the object are tied together, and there is some real-time connectivity. So this means one is moving, the other is moving in the same. So we have seamless interaction between devices from the physical world or 3D models. So we can also see them as a shadow objects. Like
your sound is
proxy
Phil?
to the actual thing if you want to control the thing, or just to see it updated at the same time. And once we have 3D model, we can visualize them using 3D immersive 3D environment, or just a regular screen. It will display the same. So yeah.
Your
You
audio
cannot
is,
hear me?
yes, and you also stop sharing your
Yes.
video. Yeah,
I
we can hear you,
cannot
but the sound is
hear
very,
you.
the sound is very disturbed.
Yes. But you cannot show me.
Do you do you think maybe you can put the link of the video in the chat, and maybe Constantina, you can share it?
Okay,
Maybe that will
there
improve
is.
things.
Can you hear me now?
It's
No,
really bad
mm,
for
yes.
us. Your voice is
Yeah, I
robotic.
stopped sharing. You cannot hear me speaking over the video. There is something wrong
And
with my audio.
yeah, I
There is a
think
problem with Zoom on Linux.
I
So
think
what should I do
maybe
now? Another
uh,
microphone, maybe I can turn.
can you share the video, and then Constantina can you put the link of the video in the chat, and then Constantina can share it, and maybe you can just take your image off and just do the voiceover. Maybe that will improve things. Okay, I see the link. Constantina, can you do? Thank you. Let's see if this works.
Can everybody see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there sound? Do you get sound or not?
And we don't get sound. Audio is not shared.
Okay.
Okay, Phil, maybe take off your image and just do the voiceover. Maybe that will improve things. Okay, I will say let's watch the video.
Phil, is your sound better now?
Microphone. This one could be better. Is it or not?
Yes, yes, that's better.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
great.
Sorry for that. So what is a digital twin? So that's a digital replica of physical entities. This means something virtual, which is corresponding to something real, and we have some kind of connectivity between those two things, the real one and the virtual one. And digital twins is technology to have seamless interaction from device to models, or the other way around. This means you can use a 3D model as a proxy to control the actual thing. And that's a concept not new, really. It's maybe 20 years ago. And I remember when I was a student, I acted some kind of puppet show on the web. I was using VRML technology, which was a way to show 3D online. So here is a proof of concept demonstration. You will understand what is it about. So on this dashboard, I'm controlling a robot, which is 4 different motors, and I can adjust the angle of each motors, and it will be updating in the physical world on the top right, and also in the 3D model on the bottom right part. So from WebSync dashboard, you can create some kind of automation, like creating some rules. When I push on the button, it will move the hand of the robot forward and turn on a lamp, for instance. So that's one action. It's quite straightforward to write. There is no evolved coding, and I made a reverse action, which is moving when the button is released, it will move the arm forward. So if I press on this widget button, you can see that my both model are moving in a same way. So I have a sensor also on my on the top of my arm, and if I am updating the color of my lamp to something greenish, and if I go back to my sensor widget, I see it's updated at the same time. So that something can be really used in a different context, like for instance in the industry, and also it can be controlled from a VR environment. This means instead of pushing button on a web page, you can just use an immersive world and decide to trigger on and off a button or control the actual things. That's a concept I'm trying to explore. So now you've got a rough idea about what are digital twins. How can this be useful? So we have some kind of device as a service concept. So you can use it for designing a system before you get the physical things created or produced. You can use a model for simulation from design, and you can try to establish some kind of use cases and scenarios. And of course, you can control your physical thing. If you're locked on, because it can be done in a remote way also, and it's quite useful for impact analysis or improve decision making, and some believe it's part of the product life management. So that's a place where it can be used, like I'm saying, like in the industry, like we are calling now Industry 4.0. You can try to design a full production chain. If you see there is any collision between different machines, and if it's working well, you can then decide to make it real using the physical things. I see also use case in cities, smart cities, in buildings and so on. And yeah, of course, a lot of scenarios between robots and other kind of systems. So that's what we can. Is it pause?
Now I post it.
Maybe,
Should I non-post it?
no, you can resume it. So I know that at W3C there are a working group working on these digital twins. Now I want to raise some concern about this kind of technology, and I want to highlight that in Europe we have this GDPR regulation, which is promoting user data privacy, and there is one article which is 25, which is pretty interesting because it encourages system service operators to make them privacy by design and by default. And I think that many open source projects already take care of user privacy, so that's an opportunity. And the challenge is how we can do digital twins using privacy by design and by default. So I think it can be based on the web as a platform, because the web itself has been designed for interoperability. It's a platform which is software agnostic and hardware agnostic, and you can decentralize your system using web technology, and also in time it's quite flexible for programmer. And also we have some kind of config runtime. This means we have some security handed into the browser. And of course we have some pretty cool technology to display 3D assets. So I will not get to 3D into 3D technology, but there is different stack from that are using the hardware GPU, so you get to write a very good performance. And yeah, you can play with A-Frame, which is a framework for building 3D world, and you can also try Mozilla Hub, which is we joined it last week for the anniversary. And for Internet of Things, also we have this Web of Things working group and the WebThing implementation, which is trying to address IoT use case using web technologies. So now let me introduce you to Mozilla WebThings. Now WebThings, because it's a community project, so it was a project born into Mozilla emerging technology. And the aim of this project was to give control of device back to users using a simple UI dashboard, and you can create some basic automation. This is what I've shown before, and it's extensible with add-on, and there are a lot of add-ons coming from community, where I think there are about several to support new devices or new protocol or new online services. So it's based and inspired by a working group at W3C, the thing description, which is describing your assets using a JSON schema. WebThings matters about privacy because all your devices are connected to another device, which is a gateway. It stays inside your home, so there is no cloud involved. Everything is running in your local environment, so you can control all your device and the data produced by those device. So that's privacy by design, I would say. And also there is all the technology to share some value to other people. So if you want somebody from the outside to get access to your system, you can open a tunnel and then you can see what is going on remotely from the internet, and you can share specific device. Now for the viewing part, we can use what we call XR, like a cross reality, which is a combination of virtual reality or augmented reality. And for this, I'm using the A-Frame framework, and which is based on 3GS, which is another JavaScript framework for the scene graph, and it is using a WebGL for rendering, and in the end, it's running on the GPU. So the performance is good for creating 3D application in the browser. And A-Frame is pretty straightforward to use. So our models can be defined by 3D nodes, can be changed from the DOM browser. And for instance, we can get access to some property like the rotation of an object, which is a 3GS primitive, and then I can decide to bind this to an actual sensor. So I will explain this a bit later. So our device can be described using a JSON schema. Like for instance, we can say we have a compass, which is an angle, which is showing the direction of the north, which is just a number between 0 and pi. So the challenge is how to bind the 3D properties to the actual properties from the IoT world, because we are talking about the same concept here. I want to talk, for instance, about an orientation. A sensor, a motion sensor, can be bind to the position of an actual 3D object. So here is an example with Mozilla Hubs. So that's the demo I made for AW2 conference. So here is Hubs. So this is a 3D environment, and I inserted into my system, in my scene, this little house. And I have also on my desk, you can see on the top right, which is a toy, but on top of it, there is a Raspberry Pi with a Sense hat, and there is an orientation sensor, which is a magnetic sensor, which is indicating the position of the north. And what you see, if I am moving my little house, it will move in a 3D world at the same time. And this 3D world is shared among different users. So this means we can decide to use this 3D world to, let's say, put together different objects we are in different places and see how can it be interacted. So what I can show now is this on the bottom right. There is my web thing, which is here I'm showing the angle, so it's 95 degrees the north direction, and if I'm moving, it's slowly evolving to the accurate north direction. And there is also a couple of other metrics, like if I remember, there is another sensor, a pressure sensor, and a temperature sensor, and a couple of others. So here we have a digital twin because we have an actual thing which is living in reality and in the virtual world at the same time. And yes, there is a couple of buttons. If I'm pressing on this, it will update in my dashboard. So that's a really basic use case, but if it works for this one, it can work for others. So yeah, on this Raspberry Pi extension, there is also an LED matrix, so I can decide to display some stuff on it. And something I had in mind is that there is a chat function inside Hubs. So if somebody say hello, it can display this on my LED matrix in my home outside the screen. That's something that can be feasible. So things are coming from the reality to the virtual world, or the other way around. So if you want to get started, there is a very basic application of this house, and to use it. So first you need to import this iframe WebSync binding library. It's very basic. And then you need to import your 3D assets. So it's using GLTF format. So if you're using Blender 3D, you can export in its format. It's made for streaming 3D content online. And then you can create some iframe entity. So its name called Solar. And then I can decide to bind some property of this Solar House object to the value of my WebSync, which is indicated by the WebSync address. So the solar properties, it's changing the color of my solar panel. That was the concept. So I didn't show everything in this clip, but if you get the code on GitHub, it's not that big, and it's quite easy to understand. There is no tricky black magic.
Is the video finished?
Soon. So yeah, there's a couple of resources. So I have a perl.org/azure/web of twins. So it's a feed of update of things I've been shared to the outside. So there is some presentation and other concept, and I made recently some explanation using a microcontroller. So yeah, if you want to keep updated about what is going on, use this address. And I already shared the previous presentation, this one and others, and there is some source code that can be improved. So feel free to send some ticket and so on, and I will try to answer the best I can. Somebody asked me some question. This new update of the same one you shared with me before. That's not something new yet, something I've shared last year in 2020. And something new has been something I shared to the EHI workshop about IoT. And yeah, if there is any more question, I can handle them. Let me check the matrix room if there's any. None. So yeah, that's it. And if you are some other question, you can reach me on this matrix web forum. I'm there. And
Maybe
thank you for watching.
Thank you very much, Bill, for presenting. I think if you add all the links also in the Etherpad, that will be good for people to find all your videos. Maybe
Sure.
also people to come. And yes, as Bill said, are there any questions or comments you want to make about this presentation?
Anyway, everything I shared is open source, so you can try to run the code on. That's everything is public, so feel free to try. Somebody tried to ask a question?
I think Paul, maybe?
Yeah, no, not a question. I was just going to say that was absolutely fascinating. I've seen some of your work before, Phil, and that was really interesting. Thank you for sharing it. Thank you.
Thanks for.
Great. If there are no any more questions, I think we are at time, so I think we can close here. Thank you very much, Phil, again for coming and presenting. Thank you very much, Andy, for the support. And if you have any more questions for Phil, he's in Matrix, so you can reach in there. And have a good evening, day, morning, night, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Take care, everyone. Thank you very much, Phil. Bye.
Bye.